As it relates to the employee lifecycle, getting workflow orchestration right improves efficiency and consistency of common IT operations. That's useful from a security perspective to ensure leavers don't have access to tools, for example, but also critically, when it comes to SOC 2 time, we're going to reduce friction for compliance by having a clear audit trail for these key workflows. So defining those workflows within SaaS Manager, we have a no-code workflow builder here. If I create a new workflow, you'll see we have templates that I'll come back to in a moment. If we start from scratch, we also have predefined workflow triggers that are built for purpose. So given this use case, predefined triggers for person joins, person leaves, or person attribute changes. So the leaver, change, and mover lifecycle all covered by dedicated triggers. And all of that can tie into statuses in identity providers, HR systems, or indeed other IT tools such as Jira. So whilst we have the ability to build our own workflows out from those triggers with a no-code builder, we know a lot of customers do quite similar things in these use cases, and we want them to have an ease of use deployment. So what we've got here is a predefined template, a very common one looking at Google Workspace. This is an offboarding workflow, a very common challenge. So we're using that person leaves trigger I mentioned a moment ago. You'll notice nice details here in terms of local time zone triggering based on the leaver's location. So offboarding at the end of their working day, not my working day as the IT owner of the service management tool. Now, beyond simply deactivating an account, which we're doing here, we're going to revoke access in Google Workspace, remove them from all groups and aliases in the address book. What we also want to take account for is what we might call last mile offboarding tasks. So moving resources around and doing that, engaging with relevant people in the moment. So you'll see in this workflow, I'm going to send a Slack message to the line manager of the person offboarding, customize that message, and give the line manager the ability to interact directly in Slack, or this could be Teams or an email, to say, yes, I want this person's files, or no, you can delete them. And based on that selection, we'll take the corresponding next step, which may be to transfer or drive content and resources over to the line manager. This is as opposed to either deleting that content and losing it forever, or parking it in a service account and waiting for a ticket from the line manager in 2 months' time to go and retrieve that content, which is busy work. What I want to do is move that point of decision upstream to the time we're actually offboarding the user. You'll also notice, in addition to these kind of productized actions for common use cases, the customer can also build in standard filter options, so to branch on a condition. So for example, if the person being offboarded is a contractor, there's a slightly different workflow versus if they're an employee. Or if there is this seniority, we're always going to say content, irrespective of what the line manager says, all of which can be customized. Also worth noting, I'm focusing quite heavily on Google Workspace here, as we have just a few minutes to cover this, just to show that we have all the corresponding actions in Entra ID and Microsoft 365 as well. So the same level of flexibility across those two workplace productivity tools. We can also do things like resource assignment in many other applications. Again, we have 400 direct integrations in SaaS Manager. But certainly Entra and Google are one of the more granular ones. They have very broad APIs to support these different actions. So again, why this is useful: consistency, automation, things done in a timely fashion. But that's only solving half of our problem, because the other half of the problem is reducing that friction when it comes to running your SOC 2 audit or your ISO 27001 audit. So what we also have from the dashboard here, we've got a dashboard time, giving us a workflow summary, anything in play, where we've got failures, things waiting for my input, so things don't fall between the cracks. And if I click on that tile, we're going to see all of my active runs here, and you'll see that for any active run, we can get a full audit trail. So what we're seeing here is an onboarding workflow for this user, and I've now got the full audit log. You'll see date, time, stamp. You can add your own notes in here to be useful later when it comes to audit time. And we can go through visually to see each step in that workflow run, to see what happened, who made the action, and when they made that action. This is as opposed to trawling through Jira tickets, emails, Slack, Teams messages to try and prove this to an auditor. Instead, it's all in one place.